Erev Tov Rabotai, we are continuing with our Mishna Yomi, Masechet Yoma. We are up to Perek Zayin Mishnah Gimel. Today's Mishnayot should be Leilu Nishmat, Neria ben Svetlana Aranbaev, and Eliyahu ben Burcha Israelov, Menuchatam beGan Eden, Amen. The Mishnah begins, Im bivigdei boots koreh. If the Kohen Gadol read the Torah dressed in the white linen garments, he proceeded as follows. Kidesh yadav raglav. After the reading, he sanctified his hands and feet by washing them. Pashat yerad v'taval. He removed the white garments, went down into the mikveh, immersed. Alav nistapag. He came up from the mikveh and toweled himself off. Heviu lo vigdei zahav elavash. They brought him the golden garments. He put them on. V'kidesh yadav raglav. And he sanctified. He washed his hands and feet again. Now, as the Mishnah itself stated, it refers to a Kohen Gadol who had chosen to read the Torah and still dressed in the white garments. Since he is now removing the white garments, he must wash his hands and feet. Had he chosen to wear his personal garments, he would already have washed his hands and feet when he removed the white ones. In that case, it would not be necessary to wash after the Torah reading. Rather, he would proceed directly to removing his clothes and immersing in the mikveh. Now, the last few chapters from Mishnah chapter 3, Mishnah 8 and on, discuss the services involving the Kohen Gadol's bull, the goat for Hashem, and the goat for Azazel. However, there were two other groups of offerings related to Yom Kippur. A, the ram of the Kohen Gadol and the ram of the people, both of which were Olah offerings. One of these rams belonged to the Kohen Gadol and the other to the people. And B, the Yom Kippur Musaf, which consisted of three types of animals. One bull, Olah offering, 7 sheep, Olah offerings, and 1 goat, outer Chatat offering. Now, in fact, the Musaf also included a ram. However, this ram is mentioned not only in connection with the Musaf, but also in connection with the ram of the Kohen Gadol. Now, we're explaining it according to the Art School notes, which follows the Rav, who pairs it with the ram of the Kohen Gadol and does not list it as part of the Musaf. Now, the Mishnah will first state that the 2 rams were offered at this point in the service, and then it will cite a dispute about when the Musaf animals were offered. He went out, he left the part of the courtyard where he had washed his hands and feet and went to the northern section of the court where he slaughtered the rams and performed the services of his ram and the ram of the people, meaning he slaughtered them, caught their blood in a bowl, threw the blood against the sides of the altar, and burned the parts of the animals on the altar. And later, when the afternoon tamid was brought, he offered the 7 unblemished sheep that were in their first year of life, as well as the other animals of the Musaf, namely the bull and the goat. We know the Torah requires in Sefer Bamidbar, chapter 29, Pasuk 8, that the sheep be free of blemishes and less than a year old. Now, according to Divrei Rabbi Eliezer, these are the words of Rabbi Eliezer. Now, after bringing the 2 rams, the Kohen Gadol burned the sacrificial parts of his bull and the he-goat for Hashem. He then immersed the 4th time, put on the white garments, removed the ladle and shovel from the Holy of Holies, immersed the 5th time, and put on the gold garments. According to Rabbi Eliezer, it was then that he offered all the Musaf animals, and they were followed by the afternoon Tamid. Now, the next Tana holds that the Musaf was split into 2 parts that were offered at different times. Because again, Rabbi Eliezer holds that the entire Musaf was offered just before the afternoon Tamid. But Rabbi Akiva, we're going to quote, holds that the Musaf was split into 2 parts that were offered at different times. Rabbi Akiva says, Im Tamid shel Shacha yu kerevin ufar ha'olah. The 7 sheep of the Musaf were brought with the morning Tamid, and so was the bull of the Musaf, which was an Olah. According to Rabbi Akiva, the Kohen Gadol dressed in the gold garments offered the 7 sheep and bull of the Musaf soon after the morning Tamid, before he changed into the white garments and slaughtered his bull and the goat for Hashem. And the goat of the Musaf, whose services were performed outside the sanctuary, was brought with the afternoon Tamid. Now, the Mishnah refers to the Musaf goat in this way because his blood was thrown against the outer altar in the courtyard, in contrast to the goat for Hashem, whose blood was sprinkled inside the Holy of Holies in the sanctuary. Now, this language, the commentators explain, is not meant to be precise. Rabbi Akiva actually holds that the Musaf goat was offered immediately after the immersion described in this Mishnah, the 3rd of the day, before the 2 rams are slaughtered. When he said that the Musaf goat was brought with the afternoon Tamid, which was after the 5th immersion, he meant that unlike the bull and 7 sheep, which were brought with the morning Tamid, the goat was not brought then. So in summary, the Musaf animals were offered when the Kohen Gadol wore the 8 garments. He wore those golden garments at 3 separate times. A, when he offered the morning Tamid. B, when he offered the 2 rams. And C, when he offered the afternoon Tamid. Rabbi Eliezer rules that the entire Musaf, the bull, 7 sheep, and goat, was brought during the 3rd session. before the afternoon tamid. Rabbi Akiva holds that part of the musaf, the bull and the 7 sheep, was brought during the first session after the morning tamid, and the other part, the goat, was brought during the second session before the 2 rams. And the Rav does tell us, Rabbi Akiva, the halacha follows the opinion of Rabbi Akiva. Now, we move on to Mishnah Daled. Mishnah Gimel again stated that the Kohen Gadol immersed for the 3rd time, put on the golden garments, and then offered his ram and the ram of the people. This Mishnah now begins with the 4th immersion. Kidesh Yadav Aglav, he sanctified his hands and feet by washing them. Ufashat v'yarad v'taval, he removed the golden garments, went down into the mikveh, immersed. V'alav v'nistapag, he came up from the mikveh and toweled himself off. Heviu lo vigdei lavan v'lavash, they brought him the white garments, he put them on. Now these white garments were of the same type as those he wore in the morning, but not as expensive. V'kidesh Yadav Aglav, and he sanctified his hands and feet again. Nichnas lo tziyet hakaf et hamachta, he entered the Holy of Holies to remove the ladle and shovel that he had left there earlier. When the Kohen Gadol entered the Holy of Holies for the first time, he brought a ladle filled with incense, with ktoret, and a shovel filled with coals. He poured the ktoret onto the coals, waited until the chamber filled with smoke, and then left the Holy of Holies, leaving the ladle and the shovel behind. Our Mishnah teaches that when he went back into the Holy of Holies to remove the ladle and shovel after that he went back into the Holy of Holies to remove the ladle and shovel after the 4th immersion. This was the only activity that he performed in the white garments between the 4th and 5th immersion. So in total, the Kohen Gadol entered the Holy of Holies, the Kodesh HaKodeshim, 4 times. Number 1, to burn the ktoret, the incense. Number 2, to sprinkle the blood of the bull. Number 3, to sprinkle the blood of the he-goat. And number 4, to remove the ladle and shovel. Now the 5th and final immersion, the Mishnah says, Kidesh Yadav Raglav, he sanctified his hands and feet, Ufashat v'yarad v'taval, removed the white garments, went down into the mikveh, immersed, Alav v'nistapag, came up from the mikveh and toweled himself off. Heviu lo vigdei zav v'lavash, they brought him the golden garments, he put them on. V'kidesh Yadav Raglav, and he sanctified his hands and feet. V'nichnas la'aktir ktoret shel ben arbaim, he entered the sanctuary to burn the afternoon ktoret. He burned the ktoret on the inner altar as he had done in the morning. These were the regular offerings of Ktoret that were brought every day of the year. Although the Mishnah does not mention it, he offered the afternoon tamid before he burned the Ktoret. Uletiv et hanerot, and to fix to light the lamps of the menorah. Now, having finished all the services of the day, the Kohen Gadol changed into his own clothing. V'kidesh yadav v'aglav ufashat, he sanctified his hands and feet and removed the golden garments. Now this is the 10th and last time that he washed his hands and feet. He washed once after the immersion, once before and once after each of the next 4 immersions, and now the 10th time before removing the golden garments. Right, he washed once after the first immersion, once before and after each of the next 4 immersions, and now the 10th time before removing the golden garments. They brought him his own garments and he put them on. The people escorted him until he reached his house. He made a feast of celebration for his friends after Yom Kippur, when it was known that he had successfully completed the service and emerged safely from the sanctuary. The Torah warns that a Kohen Gadol who enters the Holy of Holies without performing the service properly will lose his life. Therefore, when the Kohen Gadol had successfully performed the entire service without incident, it was cause for a personal celebration. And that is the Rabbi of today's Mishna Yomi. Baruch Adonai Leolam. Amen v'amen.